Good evening and welcome back to 360 Sports. Today we're going to be talking all things NFL. I'm your host, Cadyn Gill, and I'm joined by Jacob, Jack, and Nick. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
All good, man. You know, post-whiteout, getting back into the swing of things.
Oof.
Good talking to some NFL immediately.
Yeah, rough weekend for us Penn Staters, falling to Oregon in the whiteout. But we're talking NFL today, not talking college football. You know the drill. Let's start with our headlines. Only two undefeated teams left. Eagles and Bills both are 4-0. Both picked up dubs on Sunday. Which of these teams do you see remaining undefeated the longest? And what team could potentially end their run? We'll start with you, Jacob.
For me, I'm going to have to go with the Bills.
I'm going to touch on the Buccaneers a little bit. Just a quick little thing. In case, Todd Bowles happens to be watching 360 Sports right now. Please run the football. I know you don't have Bucky Irving, but in Tampa's 3 L's this year, Baker has had 43, 50, and 40 pass attempts. There is an obvious correlation with that. You want to keep that time of possession high for your football team, keep those possessions sustained. So please stop just, airing it out every single time. We keep seeing these things about the cardiac bucks. You wouldn't have to win every game on the last drive of the game if you had some sustained clock control. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you definitely. One of the best ways to keep your quarterback healthy is to run the ball, get a good
Wins that game. I think he's the Heisman favorite right now.
Can I ask you guys a question? Jim Knowles played in a lot of big games as a defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Comes to Penn State. Do you think that confidence and preparation can translate, or is it kind of just new program? It doesn't really translate.
For Penn State's sake, I hope so. However, the defense,
serious.
I think they need to get Derrick Henry going. I think that was a huge part of their offense last year. Touchdown machine, was breaking off those big runs. I think the problem is that I'm not seeing as many read options from Lamar, because read options, they take away an extra defender.
Yeah.
The defensive end has to stay home on Lamar, or he's going to go for 10, 20, 30 touchdown. And I'm not really seeing that in their offense. It's a lot of dropbacks. And like you said, Lamar can throw. Do not disrespect Lamar's arm. He's a great quarterback throwing downfield. But those feet he has, extremely dangerous. And I think that there's some offensive retooling that needs to go on in Baltimore if they want to turn this around.
The thing that makes
But I want to ask, we'll start with you, Cadyn. Who do you think had the more impressive night? Was it Nikola Jokic or Stephen Curry?
I'm going to go Jokic simply on the fact that he hung in there with the fully healthy Timberwolves without MPJ and Jamal Murray. So to me, that makes a 60-bomb triple-double just, you basically put the team on your back. You backpacked them. Granted, double OT had a little bit of extra breathing room to, get those buckets. But when you watch Jokic, he dictates everything. He sets the pace. You can't slow him down. You can't speed him up. And I think that's what's so impressive. He just looks like he's playing on easy mode. And yes, of course, we've seen Curry, go nuclear from downtown. So I don't know. I enjoyed Jokic doing that shorthanded for the Nuggets.
what do you guys think?
Yeah, I want to preface this, and not because he's on my fantasy football team or anything. See what happens when you give the ball to Travion Henderson. Good things happen when you give him opportunities. He was a proven game breaker at Ohio State. We saw flashes of that in the preseason. And then in the regular season, the Patriots want to pretend like he just can't play football all of a sudden. We're giving carries to Terrell Jennings over our second-round pick. Absolutely not. Feed him the ball. Get him those touches out in space. And kind of touching off of what I was just talking about with the Colts, the Patriots wide receiver room, although it doesn't have that alpha, it has a few guys that have been contributing in the passing game. Kyle Williams filling in for Kayshon Boutte, who was out. He had a long touchdown. Obviously, Stephon Diggs, the veteran, holding down that one spot. And Drake May, again, looks comfortable. He had that bad interception late in the game in that red zone. He kind of tossed it up there. That's that young, inexperienced quarterback kind of creeping out. But other than that, and just on the year in general, 71% completion rate, that is impressive. If you are a young quarterback completing that many passes at that rate, that is extremely impressive. And I go back to, I'm not sure if anyone else was watching, but right before halftime, the Patriots had the ball inside the 5-yard line, and there was about 1:40 on the clock. The Buccaneers had no timeouts. They opted to just kneel the ball on first down. They threw away their first down to let the clock bleed, and they wound up scoring a touchdown. Didn't give the ball back to the Buccaneers before half, and they went into halftime with a lead. And I think that saved their coach from a lot of scrutiny had they not gotten that, 4th and 2 touchdown to Stephon Diggs. But the Patriots are very impressive. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Vrabel, and that offense that I thought was going to be really bad has actually turned out to be really good so far.
I 100%.
You know what?
Oh.
Give me De'Aaron Fox speed.
I like it.
That's good. I like
You
it.
get to go again, right?
Yeah, you're up again.
And then I'm going to pair De'Aaron Fox speed with the defense of a healthy Kawhi Leonard.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
2025.
I
I'll
didn't
take
even.
Amen.
I didn't even think of Kawhi.
2025.
That's
I'll take
annoying.
Amen.
I didn't think about all
Celtics
that. Okay,
defense, when you take, Derek White and you take Jason Tatum's an underrated defender in my opinion, and you put those as a primary defenders at the point of attack on those guys, I think that's going to force the ball into the hands of those guards for the Magic that are more so there to facilitate rather than score. So I think that's where Orlando is going to run into some problems against the Celtics, but I was impressed with their defense last night.
You're so right. It's never been a physical issue for Drew Aller. It's always, since his sophomore year, I guess, it's always seemed like it's up here. That internal clock, it's either running too hot or it's not running hot enough and he takes a bad sack. I just want Drew, when you have these perimeter players, you want to use them. They're not just decoys. Like, you brought them in, and hopefully, like we said, the play calling improves. Hopefully, when you have FIU and Villanova, you're not, emptying the clip. I wouldn't expect you, James Franklin, to do so. But, there's a happy medium, and I don't think we've seen that even against some lesser opponents.
Well, looking at Oregon,
Speaking of, on the downtrend, Clemson. It seems like this is a yearly conversation we have about Clemson. It feels like we know who they are. We know who Clemson is. It can be a new season. Dabo can say all these weird things in press conferences, but we know who Clemson is. It's been 5 years since they have had a single-digit loss. They've lost 2, 3, 4 regular season games in the past 4 seasons. If you want to be considered an elite program, you got to clean that up. And now they're at 2 losses already?
Yeah.
Segment.
I don't want
Monday Night Football. We've got a double header tonight, gentlemen. I don't know how to feel about 2 Monday Night Football games, but I guess more football is not a bad thing.
More football, the better, right?
Starting off, Jets and Dolphins. I want to preface before we give our picks. This is the 3rd time in Monday Night Football history that both teams are 0-3 or winless, rather. I mean, what a masterclass. Let's. Who are we taking?
All right, this one
Who's
is
getting the
this is
first
a
one?
weird game because
I'm going to talk about the big guy that went to Dallas, Quinnen Williams. That was a shocker. That actually, as a Cowboys fan myself, unfortunately, I was shocked looking at my phone when I got that Adam Schefter notification because Jerry had been running his mouth for the past 48 hours prior to the deadline saying, oh, we have a trade. And I was like, this is just Jerry keeping fans engaged. Y'all don't have a trade. Maybe for, we saw them they kicked off the deadline with the Logan Wilson trade for a 7th rounder. Cool, that's fine. That's not going to fix your god-awful defense. And so I was like, okay, that's the trade Jerry was talking about. And then they send a 2027 first and a 2026 second round pick to the Jets in return for Quinnen Williams, who top 5, top 3 defensive tackle, kind of in that range in the league. And essentially what Dallas has done they've turned Micah and a 2026 second round pick into Kenny Clark, a 2026 first round pick, and Quinnen Williams. And when you look at that contract breakdown, Micah costs about $47 million a year in salary. Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams combined for less than that at $45 million. So Dallas still has 3 first-round picks. I don't think giving up major capital when they're 3-5-1 made a ton of sense, but I think economically it was a good move for Dallas.
Yeah.
Very easily turn this around. I think they need to protect Lamar better. I think the Chiefs are not an easy defense to pass protect against. We know that. But Lamar was running for his life. And just because Lamar is a good runner doesn't mean he should be having to run for his life basically every snap, it felt like. You want him to be fresh so that he can extend those plays, be explosive, instead of running for his life in pass protection. Nick, how are you feeling?
I mean, the Ravens, it might be time to hit that panic button.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, you could argue this man is a MVP case right now. The Colts just have so many weapons, and they all complement each other. Tyler Warren working underneath. You got Alec Pierce out wide. But what has really impressed me is Indianapolis's offensive line is just so good at consistently executing each individual assignment. They're displacing people in the run game, creating huge holes for Jonathan Taylor. And Daniel Jones looks comfortable, and when your quarterback's comfortable in the NFL, that's a really good thing. There's not a lot of pressure, and it feels like these are the Peyton Manning days in Indianapolis.
I agree with that MVP quote.
Can one regress? Can one progress? We're going to see. But speaking of that game, that moves us perfectly into our next segment, ties in the NFL. Sunday Night Football, we saw a 40-40 tie. 2 field goals were kicked in the overtime period. In the big 2025, gentlemen, should ties be a thing in the NFL? And if not, what should the NFL add or take away to fix it? We'll start with you, Jacob.
They're the best of the 3.
Yeah, I agree that the fact that Justin Herbert gives the Chargers probably the higher ceiling in the AFC. You really need those elite quarterbacks to hang in with those tough defenses in the postseason. And while Daniel Jones has looked better than he was in New York, rather, I think that his overall ceiling as a quarterback might limit the Colts offense. You see a lot of checkdowns to Jonathan Taylor, and granted, it's working, but I think as the season progresses, defenses will be able to kind of hone in on that. They have a lot of guys on offense. We mentioned Tyler Warren, but they don't have that one alpha receiver. There's a lot of Alec Pierce. You have Adonai Mitchell. You have Josh Downs. None of those guys are really alpha wide receiver 1, so I think that could also be a potential ding on them going into the later parts of the season. Nick, how about you?
I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Other playmakers. For
I'm
this guy.
interested to see Jalen Phillips, who was just traded from Miami to the Eagles. The Eagles, it's just always, that front 7 is always good. They're always bringing in new guys to kind of replenish that talent. A lot of their guys leave in free agency, then they make trades to bring them back. So they spent a 3rd-round pick on Jalen Phillips, who's been an injured guy, but when he's healthy, he's extremely efficient at rushing the passer. I think 2nd in pass rush win rate this season. So I'll be interested to see how much tread he gets tonight against a Packers offensive line that can definitely let some pass rushers through.
Yeah, you mentioned that D-line, they just keep.
I will start us off.
Take us to Philly, please.
So I went with Julius Randle. You need to do better, my friend. Obviously came to Minnesota in that Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks trade. He was brought in to be that second option offensively, kind of the Robin to Ant's Batman. And in the regular season, there were some glimpses of that. They hoped to kind of get him on a trajectory up into the playoffs. And it did look like that. He played well in those 2 series in the 2024 playoffs against the Lakers and the Warriors. Yeah. He played well. He was doing his role. The turnovers were still there, and that's a big thing of his game, is he needs to limit the turnovers. But the scoring was there. And then we got to the Western Conference Finals, and that man turned into a literal coin flip. 28 points in Game 1, 6 points in Game 2. 24 points in Game 3, 5 points in Game 4, 24 points in Game 5. T-Wolves losing 5. So I need to see more consistent scoring. I need to see less turnovers. I need to see when those teams send those doubles and blitzes at Anthony Edwards, he needs to be able to tote the line, keep it going, not have a dip in offensive efficiency, because he is a pretty efficient player. It's just on those nights where he's not scoring, the T-Wolves, they're in trouble, because then you have to go to Naz Reid, who's kind of a 3-point guy. They just don't have a ton of firepower. So that's why, Julius Randle, you need to do better, my friend.
Yeah, someone from New York, it's like, oh, man.
I'm going to go to the AFC, stay in the West, though. Give me the AFC West. On paper, it might not be the strongest records, but Broncos sitting at 8-2, Chargers 7-3, Chiefs 5-4. Chiefs, they started off 0-2, so that 5-4 record is a little skewed. But we know they're going to be there at the end of the year. It's the Chiefs. They're going to figure it out. But I kind of went a different direction as far as why they're the strongest. I think that specifically going into Arrowhead, going into Mile High, going to the West Coast to play the Chargers, all 3 of those environments are very tough. They're taxing on players. They're exhausting, the elevation specifically. It's very loud in Arrowhead. And then the coaching, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, they're all proven through and through guys. They can out-coach you, out-scheme you, and that's dangerous. So this division is going to come down to the wire. Obviously, the Broncos and Chargers are 8-2, 7-3, standing right next to each other, and they play each other Week 18, the last week of the season. So it's a 2-team race for now. I'm going to lean towards the Broncos winning that division because I think they're just healthier than the Chargers. Chargers are really banged up on the offensive line, and that's never a good thing. But I think this division, combined with elite coaching and some tough atmospheres. I think that's a really good division.
Yeah, I also said that.
Am I allowed to criticize this play call, having a guy 4th and goal and you have a guy running laterally on the line of scrimmage? Am I allowed to be an offensive coordinator and say how much I hate
John Bull
that?
for the win.
Listen.
It worked. You're right.
6 points is 6 points. No matter
that
how
was-
you
that
say
was
it.
6,
That was
absolutely.
1-0.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'll see you, Cadyn.
Last but not least. All right, heading to Arizona. We got Arizona State and Texas State facing off. Sam Levitt gonna climb the pocket, leaping around like a frog, jumps up on his back leg against the pressure to deliver a strike to Jordan Tyson, who then leaps himself over a defender into the end zone. To me, the pocket, that looks like some stuff, EA would give an animation to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I don't even understand the physics behind this, quite frankly. Steps up and then goes, I thought he was going to get plastered on that throw, but he found his guy downfield. Jordan Tyson, one of the best wide receivers in the nation, going to be a top draft pick this year, if not the next year. And Arizona State, can I just say, I love y'all's jerseys. I love y'all's jerseys. The color scheme, off topic, but the color scheme it just makes the play look sicker. I don't know how to describe it. It just has that it factor, but that was my play of the week.
Tyson is that guy, man.
Tyson is
Oh my
what
God,
a
he's
play.
that guy.
That's actually, I never considered that. A play looks so much better when they're wearing great uniforms.
It's
If you're wearing basic
people
whites,
make fun of aura, but it's a
if
thing
you're
if
wearing
you use
basic
it
whites,
right.
that doesn't look as cool.
I think the throw was crazy, but the leaping over a guy to
Yeah.
get into the end zone.
It's like
that
Ayuk. That's what it
yeah,
gives me.
that might
Ayuk
be
versus
even
the
more
Eagles, little
impressive.
vibe.
Get up,
Look at
Texas.
that. Get up.
And
Oh
he
my
stays on
God.
his feet to get into the end zone. But our return to the board is over, and now we are going to move on to our stock up and stock down. The market is open, ladies and gentlemen. Through the first 4 weeks of the college football season, there have been both good and bad performances. Let's each give one player, coach, or program that stock is rising and one that is falling.
Yeah.
I was going to do that.
I went with a little bit of maybe not a favorite to be fired, but struggles down in Atlanta. Raheem Morris. Atlanta has lost the last 4 games they've played. They're fall to 3-6 now after that overtime loss to the Colts. And Raheem Morris, we have seen him as a head coach prior to joining the Falcons. 32-53 as a head coach in his career on the Falcons. And so we have seen that he is not capable of winning so far as a head coach. He brought in Zach Robinson from the Los Angeles Rams to kind of bolster a very talented offensive unit. They have Bijan Robinson, arguably one of the better running backs in the league. Drake London, a very talented young receiver. Michael Penix Jr., the talented quarterback. And Kyle Pitts, people have their words about Kyle Pitts. The talent is there. So when you have that nucleus of guys, you must be able to produce on offense. And thus far, the Falcons have not. They are 27th in the league in points per game. They're even worse in some other offensive margins. And the problem is it's not using Bijan. He is 14th in carries in the NFL. And when you have a guy that talented, you need to maximize his usage. You need to get him the football, get him going. And that kind of generates sustained drives. And we saw yesterday, the Colts ran 80 plays. That is a recipe to lose in the NFL. If the other team ran 80 plays on you, that means your defense is gassed. So what the Falcons need to do, and Raheem Morris specifically, is figure out how to sustain longer drives, get the football to Bijan Robinson, or else that seat is hot. And let me tell you, Arthur Smith is not a patient man. He is not a patient man. I know this from firsthand experience. I was on a family vacation, and we were waiting for a table. I'm not kidding. This is a real story. And all of a sudden, my dad goes, "Oh my gosh, it's Arthur Smith," or Arthur Blank rather. And they took our table. Arthur Blank whispered to the hostess and was like, said something, and our table was given away. So his patience with Raheem Morris might just be running thin as well.
Crazy story there.
I'm not even kidding. It's when I saw this, it was like a perfect opportunity to rant about him stealing our table at the restaurant.
Good outside perspective,
What
though.
a passion
yeah,
into that
right.
one. Wow.
If he can't wait 30 minutes for a table, is he going to wait for a winning head coach? I don't know. I don't know.
They look pretty good though.
Yeah, I was impressed with Golden State's offense in particular. I think some of the questions we had last year, well, maybe not this time last year, but after they acquired Jimmy Butler, was how is Jimmy going to fit with a Steph offense? But
to me, I saw kind of a dynamic offense. It looked smooth. It included both of them. You had that action that gets Steph open, and then you also had the Jimmy ISO ball down in the post. Kuminga and Hield was hitting threes for the first time in what felt like forever. I mean, no shade to Buddy Hield,
This is that
but
typical Buddy Hield opening season.
He's an October demon every year.
yeah. So we'll see if he can keep that up, but not to dogpile on the Lakers as well. But man, I could not agree more with the sentiment that this is the exact same team we've seen from the last few years. I don't know if y'all saw that clip of JJ Redick talking about championship defense. That was the funniest thing ever to me. He wanted to make like a quote, and the reporters were just like, what are you talking about? And it showed. They were late on rotations. Their defense was slow in transition. Luka still has a horrible attitude, throwing his hands up after every bucket they give up. The offense, Luka's the only one that can initiate.
Yeah.
They're not knocking down their threes. They shot 8 for 32. I think that, granted, LeBron's out, so there's a little bit more to be seen. But fundamentally, I think we can all agree the Lakers roster and just overall team makeup has not really taken a step up from last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're too old to compete for a.
My player of the week, you already know where this is going. If you know me, baby.
Couldn't guess it.
Number 4 down in Dallas. Amazing game out of Dak Prescott last night against the Packers. The biggest thing that stood out to me is 40 pass attempts, 31 completions, 319 yards, 4 total touchdowns. That's cute, box score. But pre and post snap, Dak Prescott was so effective last night. And if you've paid attention and really watched film, you understand that this is nothing new. Pre and post snap processing has been one of his biggest strengths throughout his entire career. We've seen the greatest defensive minds in football. Vic Fangio, Brian Flores, Bill Belichick, they have all praised him for his ability to take what the defense is, showing pre-snap, being proactive and saying, okay, is this going to be cover 1 that turns into cover 2? Are they going to drop 3? Are they going to rush 5? He's not surprised by pressure, and he's doing this without CeeDee Lamb, his number 1 guy in Dallas. It didn't end in a win. As frustrating as that is, when you score 40 points, mind you, Packers in their first 3 games, Packers defense allowed 44 total points in 3 games. Dak put up 40 on him. I thought he played lights out last night, couldn't get the win, but doing this without CeeDee Lamb, I really hope opens up NFL fans and mainstream media to praising Dak Prescott, because if you ask me, there aren't a lot of guys doing it better than he is right now.
Wait, Cadyn, first off, how you feel, Cadyn? Are you
Let's
okay?
kick it over there.
You okay? Talk to us, man.
My heart hurts. It hurts. And especially because for a guy who is just he was so villainized for so many years, and he truly is such a good human being. Like, he really is. It's just such like a devastating injury, because obviously the rehab process is going to take a while, but Kyrie is so dependent on that like shiftiness, the acceleration, the deacceleration. And when you tear your ACL, that is like the prominent thing that allows you to do that in your knee. So that just, he's already a little on the older side, so it just makes me concerned for his return. But as far as the Mavs season, I mean, Nico Harrison, you got to be just embarrassed, because you puffed your chest out. You acted like you knew what you were doing. You acted like you were cooking. Oh, watch this. AD's out. Kyrie's out. We got Dante Exum and Najee Marshall in the starting lineup for the next how many games?
Is PJ even playing? I thought PJ's
PJ's in and out every night.
Who
Who knows? But dark times for the Mavs, who were literally in the finals last season. So
Yeah, I'd have to say,
for me,
like,
the first thing I thought about this is you have 2 generational crash outs in Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks. What do we think the over-under for techs in this series is?
Too many.
4.5,
I'm taking the
5.
over.
I'm taking the over in
We
whatever
don't
it is.
endorse betting on this show, by the way, but if we had to, what would the line be?
I'm taking 3.5.
6.5.
Over the-
6.5.
6.5? Woo!
Someone's getting suspended.
Anyway, back to the X's and O's. I do trust Ime Udoka to make some changes to kind of defend Steph Curry, force the ball out of his hands a little bit. I just don't know how you pick your poison.
Yeah.
I guess maybe you say we're not going to let Steph beat us and we're going to make Jimmy beat us. I don't think you can take away both. But I think it'll be really interesting to see those kind of vets clash with the young bucks. I'm excited to see
Behind
that.
the other big dogs they used to contend with.
Yeah, and that's not a coincidence. It absolutely, Dabo needs to adjust to the new era of college football. Portal, NIL, you have to be able to kind of change your ways or else you're going to get left behind. And Clemson, considering what they were to us when we were in high school, and they were that dynasty with DeAndre Hopkins, or not DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson. Well, technically, DeAndre Hopkins did go to Clemson.
A little bit before.
A little bit before. Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, those guys. It's like a little hurt. It hurts me a little to see because we grew up watching them.
Yeah.
But heading to the SEC, Vanderbilt, another upset. It seems like Vanderbilt is always pulling off some upsets. Vanderbilt knocked South Carolina out of the AP poll after beating them 31-7 on their own turf. The Commodores are now ranked 20th in the nation, but are they legit or will their run end soon?
I will say
Monday
they went
Night
into
Football
South.
tonight. Before we wrap up, special happy birthday announcement to our floor manager, Harlan.
Thank you for all you do.
How are we feeling? Big 2-1?
Yeah!
Big 2-0.
2-0.
Welcome to the 20s. There we go. That is all we have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to 360 Sports, talking some NFL today. Make sure you watch our other shows for the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You already know how it goes. From Cadyn, Jacob, Jack, and Nick, we will see you guys next time.